etc., to raise the money that you need to do whatever it is that your heart desires. We're focused on creative projects, though we define creative very broadly. Personally, I feel like founding and launching Rocket Hub was my creative project, and you know, I'm very excited to be helping creative people to achieve their goals.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and dig a little bit deeper with each one of the panelists up here, and then we're going to go through that process and then open it up for questions towards the end. So just if you have questions, just jot them down and we'll revisit them with you. But I'm hoping you'll get enough of a sense of the facets and nuances of each person's experience that'll help you ask the questions that you have individually. James, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel like this moment with all these opportunities is different than, say, 5-10 years ago? And what are some challenges and opportunities this moment has in terms of fundraising?
Well, so a couple. I think the biggest difference when I look at it is that it's actually the crowdfunding and social network funding provides a bridge. You know, it used to be that, especially as an artist, you started going to friends and family, and then when they were tapped out, you were stuck. Unless you came from a very wealthy family or had a very wealthy circle of friends, if you wanted to get beyond the $5,000 or the $10,000 mark, it was really a struggle because you didn't have enough going yet to be able to go to the foundations. You didn't have enough proof to get booked in a theater. You didn't have enough evidence to get into a gallery. And so you were stuck at this point of, you get a certain amount from your close circle. And so either you have to have your own resources or getting across that bridge. I think that crowdfunding, one of the things that could be interesting about it is to provide that opportunity to leapfrog. You can get that first $1,000, $2,000, but if you can get a good concept, you can create the platform on any Rocket Hub or Kickstarter, any of them, to here's my concept, here's my short video, here's the things I'll get you, and it can go viral. I mean, I've supported, I think, 10 or 20 Kickstarter projects so far, because I keep, personally, you know, most of them at small levels, $10, $20, but friends send them to me. I have, because of my background, a lot of friends who are artists or who are dating artists. I used to date an artist.
That's one.
Yeah. No, we went to a lot of good theater and some not so great theater. And it's been an amazing experience for me because when I realized, I was looking back at my Kickstarter profile coming here, and I only know 3 people that I funded directly. Most of the Kickstarter projects I funded, somebody sent to me, looked interesting, and I was like, oh sure, you know, $10, $20, easy to do. Most of those projects got $5,000, $10,000. The most was the Obama design book, so a different type of approach, but they got $65,000 that they raised. You can get a step. I think the danger of them is that people miscalculate how much work it takes to actually raise money that way. That it's all of a sudden we're always looking for what is the silver bullet that will get us, you know, the mystery funding. That's marrying well or being born into a wealthy family. Besides those, and even then you have to get along with your wealthy family, which I come from the poor branch. And I can tell you it's very difficult. But besides those things, it takes work. It takes work to write the proposals, to get grants. It takes work to sell tickets, and it takes work to get people to come to your fundraising platform on the web and actually click yes and give you their credit card and make those donations. And I do think that as you get talking, you can become skilled at it. It is a skill just like any other fundraising skill. You can figure out, and I think it's interesting for groups that have seen enough of those happen, to take advantage of the experience you can get from a fractured atlas, or take advantage of the experience you can get from the platforms, because you can spend a lot of time, create a really great presentation, and still get 6 people coming. And so I think that's the trade-off. You can get a bridge, but you can also risk too much.
So Jed, in terms of the people that are using your services, where are you seeing the missteps? And I think we all get very focused on the sexy wins, but I think actually there's a lot more instruction in the missteps or the trips.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually totally agree with Jason that people often underestimate the amount of work that it actually is going to take. I wrote a blog, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago on crowdfunding myths, and the myth that I talked about that week was that it's easy. People think of that there are these internet angels out there. If I just post the project, these people will come and give me thousands of dollars. One of the things that you really need to establish when you're posting a project on one of the platforms or doing it on your own is credibility. And your credibility has already been established with folks that you know very well, your close friends, your immediate family. But beyond that inner circle of folks who already really trust you, getting people to give their credit card numbers on a site that doesn't look great, if you put it up yourself and there's just a little spot for you to take the credit card number, I don't know that I would be really excited about typing in my credit card number and hoping that it's secure, So there's a lot to be said for getting very familiar with what it's going to take. Reaching out initially to your friends and family for that first big, round of contributions. We found that projects that hit the 25% mark within the first quarter of their time limit are much more likely to fully raise the full amount that they're looking for, fully fund by the deadline. And if folks don't hit that mark, 25% within the first quarter of their time frame, that it often sort of peters out. They lose steam themselves in terms of pitching the project, publicizing the project, and then it just sort of peters out. And as they sort of get disillusioned with the challenges associated with this kind of.
Jed, are there any tips that you would give somebody in terms of trying to establish what is a reasonable amount of money and a reasonable time frame?
Yeah, it's a challenge because each person is different. We offer a range of time frames. We offer anywhere between 2 weeks and 3 months. At the beginning, we actually offered up to 6 months as a viable option for you to, work 6 months and try and hit a higher goal possibly. We found quickly that at about the 3-month mark, if you weren't well on your way to getting it, you're not going to get it. You lose the fire, sort of. You get tired. 6 months is a long time to be pushing to raise money. But beyond that, in terms of...
Is there a more popular time frame than another one?
Yeah, I'd say 1 month and 2 months, 30 days, 60 days are sort of the most popular, and I think probably the most successful as well. But setting a reasonable financial goal is a very important piece of the puzzle as well. And in order to figure out what the right goal for you is, you really have to take a good, long, hard look at your own network and evaluate your own network. How many people can you really count on? And I would call those the folks that are in that first tier of your network. Close friends who you can count on for $20, $50, $100. Family members who you're really close to who might chip in at a higher level, $500, $1,000. But it's important to motivate those people early, and then additionally inform that you're not only looking for their financial contribution, but you're counting on them to spread the word to their network. Make sure that they're on Facebook. They're, it's silly, but my mother now. Yeah, don't overextend yourself. Try a small project first. It's okay. Shoot for $300 and see how it goes. If you have that level of success, fantastic. Go for something larger as well. But we're finding a lot of people that shoot for $10,000 initially and are shocked that it actually requires a fair amount of effort and are disappointed when they, aren't able to get it in a snap. Another good trick is to team up with, folks on a project. Collaborate with each other, because that grows your networks exponentially. All of a sudden you're asking a lot of, many more people for a little bit of money, and it certainly grows in terms of publicity and, the possibility of the funds you can raise.
Chris, when you were coming up with your $10,000 mark, obviously you had some cash costs you had to meet, so that was a piece of it. Were you guys cognizant of how to motivate your network? Were you thinking from that perspective as well, or you're just like, okay, it's going to cost this, I'm going to put it up and see what happens?
We really had no idea what was going to happen with the fundraising. We chose 23 days for Kickstarter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kickstarter. Basically, to sum it up really quickly, is people pledge money. You set what you want to reach, which for us was $10,000, and you choose a length in which time that's going to happen. So we chose 23 days because we're all procrastinators, and we thought that would make us really push to get this amount. And so basically, people pledge, $5, $10, $100, $200, $500, and that shows on the Kickstarter homepage. It clicks in there, and you can see how much you've raised to that point. And if you don't raise the $10,000 after 23 days, everything's lost. So basically, we made it about, I think we were about halfway, and we were a little over halfway, and we still had to raise $5,000. So we all kind of, we really encouraged everyone to, hit their blogs, hit their Facebooks, hit the Twitter, really try to get out there.
How many of them were you, just to reiterate?
There were 5 core members, and then we had a team of editors, I think 3, Ben, and 2 others. And then we also had Stephen Fredericks on board, who is the chair. He started the Society of Etchers in New York. He's kind of been helping us out with grants and fundraising, and then there was a handful. We had 3 designers, two web designers, and 2 graphic designers. So we had maybe 10 people, 12 people, I think. And so we came to this point where we needed $5,000 more dollars with only a few days left, and we decided to hold an art auction in the EFA gallery on 18th Street. Let us use their gallery. And one of the guys who started the group with us, Matt Bartolus, who's our business manager, his family owns the Chelsea Wine Vault. So they gave us wine, and we all gave prints and paintings, and we held this art auction. And I think that night we raised like $4,000, and then it was only a matter of time before we had the rest.
So just wait, to be clear, so you had $5,000 that you raised on Kickstarter, then you did an in-person $4,000 event, and then you reapplied that to your Kickstarter?
Yep.
Okay, so what you're seeing now is also somebody who's doing 2 things. They're not relying on just their friends and family network online, but they're going to do a physical event and then apply that money towards their own Kickstarter campaign. Do you want to, yeah?
I just wanted to add something.
Actually, I want you to just tell more. Let's go right to you.
Well, the different crowdsourcing websites, all have different options of how you can actually raise the funds. So Kickstarter is all or nothing. If you don't reach your goal, you don't get any of the money. Indiegogo, on the other hand, is you get your money even if you don't reach your goal. So that's a slight difference, and I think that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about which one you want to go with, because if you have any sort of hesitancy towards, not being able to get those donations, if you've gotten to the $5,000 mark and you still need $5,000 more, you could, potentially go with a different provider that would potentially still give you the funds. Indiegogo does do something where if you don't reach your goal, they take 9%, and if you do reach your goal, they take 4%. So that's something you also want to do when you're shopping around, is look at the percentage fees that the crowdfunders are tacking on. Fractured Atlas, for the fiscal sponsorship program, we charge a 6% administrative fee for all the funds that are raised through our program. Indiegogo, I think, is 5%. I believe that's correct. I mean, Kickstarter is 5%.
I think it's 7, isn't it?
I believe